Next, let's talk about family communication processes. As children, most of us likely spent much of our time talking to our parents, grandparents, and siblings. And within that family unit, our family likely established a set of family interaction rituals. These rituals help families to create, maintain, and change communication climates within the family. They include patterned family interactions, family traditions, and family celebrations. First, let's talk about family patterned interactions. Patterned family interactions are the most frequent rituals that we have and also the most informal. They don't have the same degree of formality of traditions and celebrations. These can include the rituals surrounding mealtime, bedtime, and leisure activities. For example, around mealtime, maybe your family had it so that the children set the table while the parents cooked the meal. Or maybe two people within a partnership will trade off nights that they cook, and whoever cooks one night has to clean that evening, and whoever cooks the next night has to then clean. Maybe partners will trade off so that one person does all of the cooking and the other person does all of the cleaning. This can even get as minute as set as the seating arrangements at the table. When I was growing up, my family would go out to this one restaurant almost every week. And whenever we went out to that restaurant, we would almost always sit at the same table at that restaurant. And we would always sit in the same seats at that table. It was to the extent that if we ever went to that restaurant and that table was taken, the meal felt a little bit off because our ritual was disrupted in that way. So these things can become very important within the family. Bedtime is another example of a patterned family interaction. Perhaps when you were growing up, your parents always tucked you into bed in a certain way, right? And different families are going to treat activities such as leisure time differently, right? Maybe some families have a no screen rule where you're not allowed to watch TV or use a computer in order to enjoy your leisure time, whereas others will allow as much iPad time as necessary, right? Different families are going to have different rituals. Family traditions, on the other hand, are much more formal, and they are also less frequent than pattern interactions. And these family traditions will vary widely from family to family. These can include things like birthdays, family reunions, and family vacations. For example, maybe your family had a birthday tradition that involved a trip to a favorite restaurant, or baking a cake for the birthday person, or hanging streamers in the house in order to brighten things up a bit. Maybe your family went on road trips a lot when you were growing up, and maybe there were a lot of traditions and predictable behaviors on that road trip, such as playing I Spy when you're in the car, or playing the license plate game, right? Those sorts of things. So these family traditions are much more formal and much more infrequent than the patterned family interactions are. Family celebrations are also very formal, but they have more standardization between families. They might even be culturally specific, religious, or secular. And these family celebrations help to transmit values of the family and the memories of the family through the generations. This can include, for example, major holidays such as Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a formalized national holiday and is celebrated in similar ways by many families in the United States. Right? So it's culturally specific. It's really only celebrated in the United States, but it's celebrated similarly in lots of different families, right? Generally speaking, there's a turkey and some mashed potatoes and some kind of vegetable dish, and that's seen more or less across the board. But your family might have little ways that they change the celebrations, right? For example, maybe it's really important to your family to watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in the morning on Thanksgiving, right? Or maybe your family busts out the board games after dinner. But generally speaking, family celebrations are celebrated similarly across families. Same thing with rites of passage. Rites of passage mark important life cycle transitions within a family's life. And these can include things like graduations, weddings, quinceañeras, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, etc. And again, a lot of these things are celebrated similarly across families, but they might have little things that they do differently. So as you can see, all of these rituals, these patterned family interactions, the family traditions, and the family celebrations are really important ways that families connect with one another and pass down the stories of their family from generation to generation.